Hello my dear friends, this is PaintyKat and today we will paint pretty winter landscape. Let's see if winter can be colorful. I'll start with a basic layer of white and after I put some different colors here. Look, I just put in small strokes. It's looking more as a dots with a flat brush. You can choose colors whatever you like, but basically choose blue and purple. All colors I use you can find at left side of this video. I'm usually putting there all colors I'm using in my tutorials. Now I choose a flat oval shaped brush and I'm blending colors together. Basic layer of clear white is still wet and I'm blending all colors together and I'm not trying to get the smooth basic layer now. Look, all strokes a little bit chaotic, right? And it's looking more cloudy and interesting. I'm not using any sketch for this small painting, we don't need it. Now I choose more white, a little bit more white, and now it's ground area on our painting and I'm using another type of blurring. All my strokes are horizontal and it's looking much more smooth and much brighter. But don't leave any white areas on your ground area. Why it's so? Because after all, we will add some light details on foreground. If you will create too light basic layer, it would be really hard to add some white details. On this step, don't try to create too smooth basic layer. And of course, don't put any black or gray color in it. Most of the time, I can see on a painting that created by beginners that they creating too colorless winter. Today I want to show you we can use black and brownish colors, but only as a details, as a basic, as a main tone of our composition. It's lots of colors. I'm gonna use now stamping technique and I have a sponge for it. Also, look, I'm mixing on a palette with my brush. I'm mixing colors I'm gonna use. It's a white, it's a ochre, it's a purple. You can choose colors you have, but mainly it's purple, violet can be also. It's very nice looking with the ochre and yellow tones and white, because we don't want to take too colorful tones, right? We want more pastel effect. Pastel, I mean, it's soft, it's still have lots of color, but no any grays still there, right? No gray, no black. I'm mixing on a transparent palette and I can tell you it's so pleasure to use. You can see how your shade will looking on your painting even until you put it on your paper or on your canvas, right? Because if you have any doubts, just put a palette on your work, just on canvas on a paper, and you will see how shade looking on it, right? Because the palette absolutely transparent. I'm mainly using transparent palettes and it's fast to clean, right? After work is done. I'm using stamping technique with the sponges. I got the sponges from AliExpress and it's have just better structure. It's more smooth. It's have a really small grained texture. Then it's just the usual sponges we're using on a kitchen. But if you haven't this kind of art sponges, it's really cheap, and I recommend to use artistic ones. But if you haven't, just use any sponge you have right at your home. I'm mixing colors on my painting, just on a paper. Why I'm using paper? Because it's just more cheap, right? We have to train. After you successfully done this kind of paintings a couple of times, you can try it on a canvas or on a canvas on board, and it's guaranteed to get a very beautiful painting in the end. I'm not recommend to paint it on a canvas if you have no experience before, right? I put it main volumes of colors I like, of shades I like, and now it's time to use a smaller tool. I choose very rough brush. It's a natural Bristol brush, and I'm always using it for this kind of techniques. I really love this brush. It's a big size for brushes, right? And I'd say get one or two of them and try how it's going. And look, now I mixed orange shaded color because ochre mixing with purple with very unpleasant middle shade, I'd say. It's not always looking good. And to make transfer ochre to purple, I'm always using red, because look now, it's a forest, right? It's a background forest. All forest started to look more harmonical, and again, we're trying to create a colorful winter, and if you will see careful and attentively on forest, on nature, or on photos, you will see background foresters. They always have lots of brownish and ochre colors in it, because it's a small branches. It's a small branches plus light of sun. Today we have a sun. We will paint a sunny day, and it's sun giving yellow, light yellow color. So small branches with a brown color, they have light on it, which is yellow, and it's lots of bluish reflects from sky. It's mixing all together, and the shades, light will be ochre, right? I explained why. And the shades will be a purple, because I'm always saying to my students, if you have any doubts in colors, check nature, and you can find lots and lots of pictures and photos of nature with purple shadows on foresters, right? In foresters. Our background is done, and I'm happy with the result at the moment. And I'm starting to work with the middle ground. I want to create a group of trees here. I think it would be fir-trees. And now I can choose very, very deep shaded brown. It's a middle ground and the foreground now, and here we're creating lots of contrast. We want to create contrast because it's a day and it's a sun, so deep shadows and very, very bright lights. If we want to create bright lights, of course we have to put dark shadows, dark colorful shadow parts of branches and trunks. As a tone for this brown, I choose a cold toned brown. It's not very warm, but if you have just one shade of brown, just take it clear, right? Don't put there any black. Also, look how I'm painting now these trunks, these trees. I'm not trying to create it with one stroke, with one long stroke. I'm doing very, very small strokes, and it's looking much more airy and fresh in the end. And I can tell you, if you will look at winter forest, you can't really see lines, long lines, because it's lots of snow usually that's stuck on the branches, and it's changing our perception. We can't see the branches as thick lines, right? It's usually very thin. It's gentle, right? I can say gentle. Choose gentle word for it, and of course brush. Now I choose a very, very small brush. It's a number 0. For me, it's a rule. Smaller details you want to create, smaller brush you're choosing, right? And we are done with the dark trees, dark trunks, and now I want to create lots and lots, very gentle, very thin birch trees. It's a birch forest, and now our colorful and dark toned background giving us a support, because it's not possible to create white trees if background is too light, because again sunny light, daylight, it's always a question of contrast we're creating. I put more water now on my dyes because I want more liquid texture. You will get it with the practice. More you will paint, more you will feel better, you will feel the consistency of dyes you're using on your painting. And as you can see, I'm creating bigger and smaller trees. I'm trying to mix it together to create natural looking forest, because in forest you always have bigger tree and smaller tree. If you will create all the same, you will lose the natural look. It's what we want to paint, right? We want natural looking forest. Put there so many as you like white trees, and if you will put not enough, we always can get back and to add more in the end if you will feel the painting not detailed enough, right, with the volume of forest on the background. Now it's time to create our fir-trees. I choose green. Choose really pleasant color. Choose color you love, right? I choose green grassed, deep green grassed green, and look how I'm painting now. It's more looking as a steps. I'm making small steps on my painting with a brush. It's a synthetic brush. It's flat and round shaped. Lots of details depends from type of brush you're using. It's just not possible to create painting with one brush with the different details, and it's very, very, very extremely important to try different type of brushes and to try to analyze what type of brush could leave this stroke, right? This kind of steps on the paper or on a canvas, because analyzation of painting, it's also very, very important if you want to create beautiful paintings. And that's why I actually recommend starting kit of brushes for everyone who want to try different types of brushes with a very affordable price, because I have some local stores, some local art stores around my house, but usually brushes there have a really nice quality, yes, but it's kind of expensive, and if I'm choosing what brushes I need at the moment, usually I'm always choosing brushes I already know and not taking anything new, because I'm absolutely sure how to use it, right? So I want to pay for a tool I know how to use. But for artists, it's very important to keep searching for new ways how to express yourself on a paper, right? How to paint better. As you can see, now I created some greenish details, and I'm also mixing green grass color plus brown color for it, because I wanted to mix darker shade but without black again. Black can give effect of dirtiness on your painting, so if you're creating sunny days, very bright lights, you want lovely shades in your palette, no, just don't mix black there. Choose any other shades. We have also blue and a brown, right? And a mix of them giving deeper shade, but without any unpleasant dirty in colors. Now I'm creating another type of tree, and you can see I'm using different type of brush strokes, and again it's very depends from shape of brush. Shape of brush here, it's flat. All my brushes are synthetic, and I think for acrylic it's nice and very useful. It can handle enough volume of paint on it, and I like how it's working, and it's very easy to clean after all. Now I'm creating small fir-tree on a foreground. It's a mix of green, brown and white. White I used because it's not the main, it's not the center of composition. Center, it's our group of 3 fir trees, and they will have best contrast. All other details will be less contrasted. As I said, I choose deep brown color as main color for trunks, and now I'm creating spots of lights. It's a mix of ochre, a little bit of yellow plus white, and it's very, very small details now, so please choose very small size of brush. And again, don't put there too long lines. Make it small, make it more looking as a spots and dots, because light here going through the branches, and it's giving small spots on the trunks. And also I recommend to you each 25-35 minutes make short breaks, and it will give you a chance for fresh look, because if you painting for a long time, for example more than 1 hour, you're losing the fresh look, and you can make some small mistakes, especially with the contrast and colors that can be visible after short break, and distance look on your painting. Usually I'm doing these breaks each 30 minutes. That's why I'm always fixing paper not on a table. It's fixed on glass, on a plastic glass, and it's giving me opportunity to take it off from the table and put it on a distance from me. Now it's a time to create the snow. It's a very easy step, and it's so lovely, because after this step of this tutorial, your painting will looking very fresh, very light, and very snowy. The same type of strokes. It's like a small steps. Imagine it's not a brush in your hand. Imagine it's a small leg, right? And you making tap, small footsteps on your painting. It's snow, so it's a clear white, green, some colors they are still a little bit wet, so be careful, you're looking for clear white. So I will always take fresh white from my palette. Look, now fir-tree is looking just lovely, snowy, very bright, and now you can feel the sunlight here. It's not enough sunlight yet because we're not created casting shadows. We will do it, just wait a little bit for it. Before we creating shadows, we have to create small details for our white trees. White trees, I have lots of it on my local forests. It have white trunk and lots of deep brown toned or black tone details. Again, I'm not using black today at all. For this painting, just don't open your black tube, right? Brush again, it's number 0. And I'm just creating dark details in any areas I like. Don't put it everywhere, right? Because at some trunks that can be a snow, and we will not see the dark details. Also, I created one more white trunk that crossed fir-tree. I don't know, I feel like it's creating more layers in my forest, right? After your white color getting dry, it will be more transparent. So I'm doubling a white layer for all white trunks. And check after your painting will be almost done, check it again. Maybe we will need to put even a third layer of white. We have lots of layers here, right? We're putting these white birch trees on a background of violet and ochre. My acrylic dyes getting completely dry for around 30 minutes, and of course some layers mixing together. I really like how my painting looking now, and it's time to add some very tiny details for foreground. As you can see, I added small brown branches on the foreground. Now foreground looking a little bit empty, right? But this emptiness, I leave this area for shadows that will give us feeling of the shining sun. Of course, we can't leave this dark trunk. I noticed that it have no any snow on it, and I have to add some snow with a small brush. And again, don't paint with the long lines. Do it with the small steps, right? With the very, very small steps. It's just looking more natural. Now I want to create some very white spots on the foreground, because now this area looking too smooth for me. I don't really like it. I just want to create maybe a little bit of white details. It's up to you, you know, it's very depends how your painting looking at the moment. If you have enough details here, right, on this area of painting, you don't need to do this step at all. But I like it because usually we have small snow drifts that stuck on a base of trunks. Right, so I created it with a small white spots, and that's why I told you before when we were blurring this basic layer, don't leave any white areas, because if it would be any really clear white here, it would be not possible to create snow drifts. Now I want to paint some small footsteps. Imagine if our forest have some lovely creatures living there, and they can leave small steps. Use light blue plus white. It's very easy, and my brush, oval shaped brush, very nice for it. It's just leaving steps I need. And in the end we have to create shadows on the snow. Be very careful with the mix of blue and white, because we don't need to dark shadow, and it's have no contain any black in it. It's just blue and white mixed with the different proportions. It can be a little bit darker or a little bit lighter. It depends how close the shadow to the base of the trunk. If it's very close to base, right, it can be darker. And if it's long shadow, in the end, far from the tree, it's can be lighter. We have light from right side to the left, so shadows will be falling the same direction from right to the left. And of course, you can be careful on this step, because each tree you created have to have to cast shadow from it. And we have here a small fir-tree, and it have let's say solid shape. It's not looking as a laces. Shadows usually from trees, it's looking like a laces, right? But this small fir-tree, it's solid, so the shadow have to be also solid. Just don't make it too dark. Our center of our composition. It's a group of 3 fir-trees, and we want the main contrast we want to have in this part of painting. If you will create 2 dark shaded shadows, it will take attention from viewer not to center of composition but for shadows. Now imagine we also some forest here where we standing now. Imagine you standing in this forest, and of course it's not a field. We standing in the forest, so some trees will grow behind us, and they also will cast some shadows. So now we're creating this kind of it from trees we can't see because it's out of frame of our painting, and it's giving a very nice sunny effect now, right? Because we have really lined shadows. It's not smooth, it's have really visible lines, and I'm not trying to blur it to the white. That's it. Actually, that's it. Now I'm just fixing some areas maybe I don't like. I'm just putting some more blue shadows in the deep part of forest. I'm checking now some snow spots. I told you already, white can be transparent after it's getting dry. I fixed all places I didn't liked, and I always saying to everyone, sign your paintings, sign it, and put there date where you painted it, because it's giving you a chance to see your progress. That's it, my dear friends. I hope my comments will help to you to improve your skills and to understand how we create this beautiful landscape. That was a PaintyKat, and I wish you all the best. Bye bye.